Thank you everyone for joining us for the third session of our Active Aging virtual series this June. Today we have presenters Brittany Shorey from Whitley County and Kidani Sarko from Allen County presenting on well-being in the garden. And I'll let you take it away.
Thank you, Carolyn. All right, so if you're joining us today via phone, we will stick around afterwards to answer questions. If you're joining us via computer and you're able to use the chat box, we may be asking a couple questions throughout today's presentation, and you can utilize that chat box feature. And we'll be monitoring that as we go throughout today's presentation. Again, like Carolyn said, thank you for joining us today, and we are going to focus on the impact of gardening and how it's impacted on our overall health. So today we're going to focus on specifically two learning objectives, and those two things are going to be how gardening can improve our overall well-being and the financial and health benefits that gardening can offer us. So at this time, I'm going to ask you to utilize that chat box feature and answer if you do or if you don't garden and why you do or maybe why you don't. So I'll give you a couple minutes to contribute into the chat box.
Brittany, we have lost some of your audio.
Okay, just making sure. Thank you. I'm sorry. I had a monitor come up on my screen. I just want to make sure you all can hear me. It's great to take care of something and watch it grow. Thanks, Rachel. I garden a few items. It's nice to have fresh produce outside my door. I do garden, but just flowers. I do it because I get a sense of fulfillment from it. Thank you for those of you who shared. And did you know that gardening can actually be more than just planting flowers? One of you specifically said that's all you have, and that's okay. That's still gardening. There's so many different types of gardens that you can have. You can have butterfly gardens, you can have container gardens, fruits, vegetables, herbs, organic, and even water gardens. So there's lots and lots of different types of gardens, and I could go on for several minutes. Kidani and I would like to see, again, thank you for sharing that some of you do garden. So now we're going to switch gears just a little bit and talk about the specific physical benefits that gardening does have for us in our overall health. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, physical activity is one of the best things that you can do to improve your health. Many of us know that. Maybe you aren't one that enjoys hiking or biking outdoors, and that's okay. Maybe you don't go to your local YMCA or your local gym, and that's okay too. Did you know that the CDC considers gardening as a form of moderate intensity aerobic activity? Using hand tools while gardening can help strengthen your muscles because you are lifting, squatting, pushing, and pulling without even realizing it. I was actually just pulling weeds a few days ago, and some of those suckers are really in the ground and you really have to pull them out. So remember that the next time you pull those weeds, and you're putting those muscles to work and you don't even know it sometimes. Getting physical activity is vital for healthy aging and being active, and it can reduce the burden of chronic diseases and prevent early death. For those of you who do garden, you know that it can take some time. I don't doubt that some of you are getting recommended physical activity by gardening. So keeping that in mind, for those of you who have larger gardens, it's going to take even more time, and you probably are exercising even more than those physical recommendations from the CDC or the Centers for Disease Control. It is recommended that we engage in about 150 minutes per week of that moderate intensity level of activity or that gardening. Again, switching gears just a little bit more, focusing on sunlight and the impact that it has on our health. The sun is our best source of vitamin D. The National Institutes of Health conducted a study, and the results show that there's a link between those who garden and how much vitamin D that they obtain from doing it. When our skin is exposed to sunlight, it makes vitamin D from cortisol. Vitamin D has many roles in the body, and it's essential for optimal health. Again, anytime you're outside, I highly recommend wearing sunscreen, whether the sun is out or not, to protect your skin. So, research done shows that sunlight has been said to lower blood pressure and improve bone strength and brain functioning, which is pretty cool. A lot of us might not have known that. I really like focusing on this little tidbit as well. So spending time with family, there's a lot of different things that we can do in today's society that we can spend with other people, especially a lot of us realizing this since we've lived amongst a pandemic, and spending time with people is something that we didn't always think about the importance of. It just happened. So gardening is one way that you can spend a lot of time with loved ones. One Centers for Disease Control and Prevention study showed that gardening also has a lot of social and emotional benefits. There is research done on this. And when you think about the social aspect, it can strengthen family relationships, and it can provide an opportunity for bonding, while also giving parents and guardians a great avenue for really teaching their kiddos or their family members about gardening and planting something and caring for something and letting it grow. So when you think about the emotional benefits, gardening gives us the chance to be outdoors and breathe in that fresh air that the earth provides us, which is good for our lungs and also circulation throughout our body. At this point, I am going to turn the presentation over to Kidani.
Thank you, Brittany. Yes, so here gardening also has so many benefits. So one of the benefits is like Brittany mentioned for our emotional health, social health, and there was a study done in 2016 showed that gardening may reduce depression, anxiety symptoms, stress, mood disturbance, and even body mass index, BMI, in addition to its benefit to physical health. So when we go out and we are spending time, we feel like we are not alone, we don't feel lonely, then we are getting health and we are, helping, minimize our depression and anxiety levels. So many benefits. And without knowing, our BMI is also body mass index is also getting better. So many benefits. Next slide, please. Okay, here is the other aspect, better nutrition. So these are actually some of the fruit that some of vegetables I love anything spicy pepper. From mild to very high. So these are some of the plants that I harvested from my own garden last summer, and whenever I take this to home, and we were using it in soup and different things, and my wife was mentioning, it tastes different. It just has like a clean taste. And first we didn't realize it, but we knew because this is right from the garden. I just harvested it. No, it didn't transport from one location or from one country to another. To do that, there was no chemical, no pesticide to preserve it. It was just so fresh, and I haven't used any chemical in the garden. That's why. So when you prepare food from your own garden, it is fresh, pesticide, chemical free, and the food is more nutritious and it tastes better. Plus, you are saving money. I buy a lot of grown produce, but when I had that garden, Unfortunately, I can't do it for the entire year because of our weather, but for 3, 4 months, we just using our own garden. So a lot of benefits. Uh, Next section. And another thing, so it is not just, like it's not just flower, it's not just vegetable or fruits. Gardening takes many forms. Another way is looking at from, it could be a landscaping or, some of you mentioned you do some flowers. So those tend to increase your home value. If a house is on a market and a house with a nice clean surrounding outside, with flower, with, as you can see from the picture, according to the consumer reports, gardens known to increase property value at least by 2.7%. For example, let's say a house was just sold for 300,000, 2.7 of that's almost, more than 8,000. So not always, but if people, buyers will buy, they will say, oh, this property is well taken care of, it's well maintained, well kept, clean, everything is in line. So next time you are trying to sell your house or you are trying to attract buyers, make sure you do some gardening. It doesn't have to be fruits and vegetables. It doesn't have to be only flowers, but even a small fireplace or a tree there that's well taken or mulching, whatever that may be, that would increase. Then you are financially well by doing that, and you don't spend much work waiting, people to buy your property. Next slide. And another way of looking at gardening is maybe we don't have anything else outside, or maybe we don't want to do it. Then what we can do is we can do indoor plants. I know last presentation we did some of it last week when we talk about moving on out. So having those plants indoor, it improve indoor air quality. It could be in a can and a pot, a small plant. You can use it as a humidifier to humidify your air, increase mental well-being. Just seeing that small green flower or green plant that you take care of, that you water, it just gonna help you. You are doing something and you are looking at, so it is going to improve your mental well-being and provide a sense of purpose when you do that. When, for example, you have a few plants at your home and let's say you are going somewhere for a vacation, you are going to ask someone, would you take care of my plant? Would you water it twice a week? Whatever that may be. So it just gives a sense of purpose. You have something to do. And another way looking at aromatherapy, we can look at in 2 ways. One, just having a flower, something nice to look at. For example, around hospitals these days, especially in a long-term living center, nursing home, they have this so that those people when come out outside just have sun, they can look at those flowers. That's one way of aromatherapy. The other way is these days, there are essential oils. Of course, there are a lot of study needs to be done more, but another way looking at aromatherapy, the different essential oils that people are these days using as alternative to sleep well or to calm down, stuff like that. Next slide. Another end is a community garden, especially during the pandemic. Community garden not only help minimize the gap of food shortage because transportation was very hard, shelves were getting empty. So there's a study done, and community gardens played a huge role during the pandemic. Community garden helped fill the gap in fresh produce and provided safe outdoor activity. So people were able to go out and just see people, talk to people, water their plant, and also donate that food to food pantries, uh, soup kitchens, local pantry stores. So just really good. So next time you may not be able to do that around your home. Look at your community, see if there is a community garden. If you live next to a Purdue extension, most Purdue extension offices, county offices, they have a community garden. You can join the master gardeners. Just so much important, not just about the food, but helping others, doing uh, increasing value to our community, helping someone, but also for us getting to know someone, spending time and interacting. And we have seen that how much important is during the pandemic, how spending time with people are really important. Next slide, please. So then I guess the question by now is how do I get start? So then question to ask yourself is, what are my priorities? Is fresh produce your priority? Is flower your priority? Or helping someone in a community garden, is that your priority? Find out. Find out, is landscape, maybe working around beautifying your house so that you can sell your property. What are your small priorities? Then what do I want to do? Like, what do you like to do? You like fresh produce, fresh fruits, or just looking at the flowers, like some of you mentioned. And how much space do I have? you know Sometimes we may only have just a pot that you can use in, maybe just water a few plants, a few flowers. Sometimes we have a raised garden so that we can use some. Can I do what I want in my space? Maybe you want to do a big thing, but let's say if I live in an apartment, maybe I can't do in my apartment a raised bed garden. That's not my property, but I can bring a few parts like cans, and I can do that. So just knowing that, what do I like, what's my priority, what's my space, making sure asking those questions. That's how you start. Next slide, please. Then next time you just do what you can and with what you got. You may not have a lot of space, but do what you can. Maybe start by looking at how much space you have. Maybe ask if there's a community garden in your community, or if you are able to join them. And again, this flower, is your space only allows you flower? Are you able to do only flower, just one flower, two flower, or you like your to beautify your property? So can you do landscape or fruit and vegetables, whatever that may be? Just do what you can with what you have. Next slide, please. So what's the take-home message from today's presentation? The take-home message is, take the time to get outdoors. Make sure outdoor is important. Enjoy the sunshine with family and benefit from exercise while gardening, because you don't have to run, you don't have to wait lift, you don't even know that you are exercising when you do gardening. You just like enjoying watering, moving, talking to someone, putting soil, harvesting, weeding. You don't even know you are exercising. So enjoy that. Save money and enjoy fresh produce. And if you are doing, vegetables and fruits, you are saving money and eating fresh produce. So that's important. That's the take-home message. Just whatever you can do, start, and you can start somewhere. Next slide, please. So these are some of our resources, and now we are going to put a survey in the chat box. Please take a minute. If you can take the survey, we appreciate it. We will also send the video in the follow-up email with the survey. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any question, time for question.